The hum of the starship's engines filled the cabin, steady and calm. But Captain Arik Val knew that peace was a fragile thing. Humanity had spread among the stars, but danger followed wherever humans went. Some dangers were obvious: asteroid fields, deadly storms, malfunctioning technology, but others hid in shadows. Alien eyes watching, waiting, planning. And today, Arik's mission was to protect someone precious, someone whose survival could tip the scales of war. He stood at the viewport, looking at the distant blue and green sphere of Nova Prime. It was a new colony, barely 3 years old, a place meant for scientists and families seeking a fresh start. But it was also a place where enemies could strike unseen. Arik adjusted the strap of his tactical vest, fingers brushing the cold metal of his sidearm. He had done countless missions, faced ruthless mercenaries, and even encountered alien predators. Yet nothing in his experience fully prepared him for this assignment. Liana Kale. The name repeated in his mind, soft yet firm, carrying weight far beyond a simple identity. She was the daughter of Dr. Celine Kale, one of humanity's leading scientists. Celine's research was vital, technology that could protect human colonies from Zarathi incursions. The Zarathi were not enemies to be reasoned with. They were calculating, relentless, and deadly. If Liana fell into their hands, it would mean more than the loss of one life. It could tip the balance of the galaxy. Arik's comm beeped, breaking his thoughts. "Captain Val, the Kale shuttle has docked." "The girl is ready for transfer," said a voice calm and precise. "Understood," Arik replied. His tone was steady, but inside a tension ran through him like electricity. Every mission carried risk, but the stakes here were higher. He could not fail. The shuttle doors hissed open, revealing Liana for the first time. She was smaller than he expected, yet there was a spark in her eyes. Intelligence, curiosity, and something else he couldn't name. She didn't shrink back. Instead, she studied him as if measuring every inch of his armor, every twitch of his expression. "Liana Kale?" Arik asked gently. She nodded. "Yes, sir. I've been told you'll keep me safe." "I will," he replied. It was more than a promise. It was a vow, one he had sworn silently to himself long before meeting her. Her mother's presence lingered in his memory. Dr. Celine Kale had been firm yet vulnerable, the kind of person who trusted only the best in others. She had looked at him with steady eyes, no hesitation. "Protect her," she said simply, "and if anything happens to me, ensure her happiness, even if it means more than your duty demands." Arik had blinked, caught off guard. "Ma'am?" Her gaze held him firm. "I mean what I say, Captain. She is strong, but she will need guidance and protection. You are the one I trust." Arik hadn't understood fully, and even now, as he escorted Liana aboard his ship, he felt the weight of her words pressing against his mind. There was no time to ponder them now. The mission demanded focus. The journey to Nova Prime was tense but uneventful. Arik kept his sensors active, scanning for anomalies or threats. Liana spent most of her time observing him, asking questions about the ship, the stars, and the technology that hummed around them. Despite her young age, her questions were thoughtful, showing a mind that could think beyond ordinary curiosity. "You've faced alien attacks before?" she asked quietly one evening as they watched the starfield through the viewport. "Yes," Arik replied, "many times. But not all battles are fought with weapons. Some are fought with patience, understanding, and sometimes trust." Liana frowned, her brows drawing together. "Trust isn't that dangerous." "Sometimes," he admitted. "But it's also the only way to survive with others. Alone we are weaker." She nodded slowly, absorbing the words. Arik realized that she was not just a child in need of protection. She was already learning, already preparing to face challenges that could destroy an ordinary person. The ship's alarms blared suddenly, cutting through the calm like a knife. Red lights flashed across the control panels. "Incoming boarding craft," his communications officer reported. "Unknown origin. Weapons locked." Arik's pulse quickened. He had expected threats, but timing always mattered. He activated the ship's defense protocols and moved toward Liana. "Stay close," he commanded. The air shimmered as the boarding craft attached itself to their hull. Moments later, alien figures began breaching the ship's perimeter. The Zarathi had found them sooner than expected. Arik took a defensive stance, scanning the intruders. They were tall, lean, and covered in reflective armor that shimmered like liquid metal. Their movements were precise, calculating, but not reckless. They were hunters, and he was the prey they had not yet caught, but he was ready. "Cover the corridor," he barked. He drew his sidearm, the hum of the energy weapon filling the cabin. Liana instinctively ducked behind a console, eyes wide but unafraid. Arik moved forward, firing carefully, disabling intruders without wasting energy. Each shot was precise, calculated. He didn't panic. Humans had survived worse. He remembered Dr. Celine's words about strength and responsibility, and that memory steeled him further. The firefight lasted only minutes, though it felt like hours. The Zarathi withdrew, retreating to their ship, leaving Arik and Liana shaken but unharmed. Breathing heavily, Liana stepped forward. They tried to get me." Her voice trembled slightly, but she stood tall. Arik nodded. "And they failed. Because we worked together." She looked at him, her gaze steady now. "I'm glad you're here." He felt a flicker of something unfamiliar, a warmth that had nothing to do with the mission. But there was no time to explore it. The threat was not over, and the journey to Nova Prime continued. Over the next several days, the bond between them grew. Arik taught her basic survival techniques, how to remain calm under pressure, how to navigate emergency systems, and how to think like an adversary. Liana, in turn, demonstrated a natural aptitude for problem-solving, often anticipating hazards before he even noticed them. One evening, while reviewing navigation charts together, Liana asked quietly, "Do you think I'll ever be able to fight alongside you?" "Really fight?" Arik considered her question carefully. "Yes," he said finally. "But fighting is not just about strength or weapons. It's about knowing when to act, when to wait, and when to protect what matters most. You already understand that better than most." She smiled faintly, and for a moment the tension of the mission lifted. The calm was short-lived. As they approached the orbit of Nova Prime, his sensors detected unusual energy signatures. "Something's not right," he muttered, analyzing the data. The readings suggested another ambush, this time possibly larger and more organized. He turned to Liana. "Stay alert. We're not clear yet." Her expression was resolute. "I'm ready." Arik realized then that Dr. Celine's trust was not misplaced. Liana was more than someone to protect. She was a symbol of humanity's resilience, intelligent, courageous, and capable. And perhaps, he thought quietly, she might teach him as much about human strength as he could teach her. As the ship descended toward the colony, the distant glow of the settlement welcomed them, but shadows lurked in every corner. Arik adjusted his grip on his weapon and scanned the horizon. Their journey had only begun. The galaxy was full of dangers, but humans had survived against impossible odds before, and with Liana at his side, he felt that survival was not only possible, it was inevitable. Dr. Celine's words echoed in his mind again. Ensure her happiness, even if it meant more than duty demanded. He didn't fully understand what she meant yet, but one thing was clear. He would do whatever it took to honor that promise. Because some missions were not just about survival. They were about shaping the future. And humanity's future, he realized, rested in the courage of its children and the honor of those who protected them. The engines hummed steadily as the ship glided into orbit, a beacon of hope amidst the stars. And for the first time in weeks, Arik allowed himself a small, quiet thought. Perhaps this mission would change him as much as it would protect her. The colony of Nova Prime stretched below them, a patchwork of domes and spires nestled in green valleys and silver rivers. From orbit, it seemed peaceful, almost like a picture drawn for tourists rather than a strategic settlement in the middle of a galactic conflict. But Arik Vol knew better. Peace was only as real as the shadows that lingered at its edges. "Stay close," Arik murmured to Liana as they descended in the shuttle. The engines hummed and whined, carrying them toward the landing platform. Liana's eyes scanned the view, alert, alertness betraying the youthful curiosity she usually carried. She nodded but didn't speak. There was no need. They had learned quickly that words could be wasted when danger was near. The shuttle touched down with a hiss and a gentle shudder. Arik led the way out, scanning the platform for threats. Everything appeared normal, yet his instincts refused to relax. He had learned to trust those instincts, honed through countless missions across human colonies. The Zarathi were patient predators. They would wait for the perfect moment to strike. Liana followed closely, her steps confident but careful. She had already demonstrated intelligence and courage beyond her years, and Arik could see that she was learning quickly, absorbing every lesson he offered. It wasn't just survival skills, she had a mind that could adapt, plan, and anticipate. She reminded him in a way of what humanity's strength really was: resilience, creativity, and an unyielding will to survive. "Welcome to Nova Prime," a voice called. It was the colony's director, a stern man named Kale Terrace. No relation to Liana, though he treated her with respect. "I hope your journey was uneventful." Auric's hand never strayed far from his sidearm. "Uneventful until now," he said carefully. "But that changes quickly in a galaxy like ours." The director's eyes narrowed, reading the subtext. "Of course, we've had rumors of Zarathi scouts in this sector." Auric nodded. "We'll need to secure your communication arrays and perimeter sensors. They'll be targeted first." Liana stepped forward. "I can help," she said. Her voice was steady, and though she was younger than most colonists, she had a presence that drew attention. Auric glanced at her, a flicker of pride in his chest. She was not just a child in need of protection. She was a partner in strategy, a mind that could challenge even his own tactical thinking. He nodded. "Good, stay close but trust your instincts. If you see something, speak up." Over the next several days, Auric and Liana worked together to fortify the colony. They checked sensors, repaired shields, and patrolled perimeter outposts. Every moment was a test of their coordination, their ability to anticipate threats. Liana quickly adapted to his instructions, often suggesting improvements to patrol routes or pointing out vulnerabilities he might have overlooked. Auric marveled at her insight. Humans could be underestimated by the Zarathi because they were unpredictable, adaptable, and clever. Liana embodied all of that. One evening, as the twin suns dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and violet, Auric and Liana found themselves atop the colony's observation tower. The wind was cool, carrying the scent of alien flora, and the distant hum of energy generators was comforting. "Do you ever get tired of fighting?" Liana asked quietly, her gaze fixed on the horizon. Auric paused, considering the question. "Sometimes," he admitted. "But then I remember why we fight. Not for glory or recognition, but to protect those who cannot protect themselves. To give humanity a chance to thrive. That keeps me going." She nodded slowly. "I want to help people too, not just survive. I don't want to be afraid when others need me." Auric studied her, impressed. Most children would shy away from responsibility, yet she embraced it with courage. "Then you will," he said, "and I'll be there to make sure you can." The calm of the evening shattered suddenly when alarms blared across the colony. Red lights flashed on the observation tower's panel, casting sharp shadows across their faces. "Zarathi detection," the automated voice warned. "Multiple hostiles approaching colony perimeter." Auric's instincts kicked in. "Liana, get inside the defensive bunker now." She obeyed immediately, moving swiftly while Auric drew his weapon and ran to the control console. From his vantage point, he saw the first wave of alien skimmers glinting in the fading sunlight. They were fast, sleek, and dangerous, designed to bypass human defenses. Auric activated the colony's automated turrets, watching as beams of energy cut through the attackers, but more kept coming. Liana's voice came over the comm, steady despite the tension. "Captain, they're bypassing the east shield. You need to seal the hatch now." He didn't hesitate. He initiated the emergency seal, isolating that section of the colony from the invaders. Sparks flew as energy shields hummed into place. Then, without warning, a small group of Zarathi dropped onto the main platform, weapons drawn. Auric moved with practiced precision, taking cover behind crates and firing when necessary. Liana, from inside the bunker, coordinated with other colonists. "Auric, redirect power to the eastern turrets," she instructed, her mind working faster than most adults could manage under pressure. He complied, grateful for her calm and clarity. The battle raged for hours. Auric fought alongside his team, but it was Liana's strategic thinking that turned the tide. She predicted the alien movements, suggested ambush points, and coordinated defensive fire. For the first time, Auric realized that humans' greatest strength wasn't weapons or armor. It was their ability to adapt, to think creatively under pressure. Liana was a perfect example of that strength. When the last Zarathi retreated, leaving only scorched metal and broken drones, Auric allowed himself a deep breath. Liana stepped out of the bunker unharmed but exhilarated, her eyes bright with adrenaline. "You did well," he said, clapping her lightly on the shoulder. "So did you," she replied, We did it together. For a moment, the tension eased. But Auric knew better. The Zarathi were patient, and this was only a probe, a test to see how humans would respond. The real attack could come at any time. Over the next week, Auric and Liana worked to rebuild and strengthen the colony's defenses. They inspected energy grids, reinforced shelters, and trained colonists in basic combat and survival skills. The partnership between them grew stronger, not just a protector and ward, but a team that relied on each other's strengths. During one late-night patrol, Liana spoke quietly. "Do you think my mother worried too much about me?" Auric glanced at her, sensing the mix of vulnerability and courage. "Perhaps, but she knew you were capable. That's why she trusted you to learn, to grow, and to survive." "And to trust you?" she asked softly. He looked at her, considering. "Yes, but trust is earned, Liana, and you've shown that it can be mutual. We protect each other. That's the strongest kind of trust." She smiled faintly, comforted by his words. Auric realized that he had begun to see her not just as someone to protect, but as a partner in facing the galaxy's dangers. Humans thrived on connection, on cooperation, and she reminded him of what made them special: their courage, creativity, and empathy. One night, a new threat appeared. Scouts reported a Zarathi warship emerging from a nearby asteroid field, a vessel far larger than anything they had faced before. Its presence was a clear warning. Humans had survived skirmishes, but now the enemy was testing them on a larger scale. Auric gathered the colonists. "This is serious," he said. "We've held our ground, but we cannot underestimate them. They will test every weakness. We must work together, every one of us." Liana stood beside him, unwavering. "We can do it," she said simply. Her confidence inspired others, a reminder that human courage often outweighed superior technology or numbers. The following hours were tense. The Zarathi warship loomed like a shadow above the colony, deploying skimmers and drones. But Auric and Liana anticipated their moves, using every advantage they had. Turrets, shields, and human ingenuity combined in a display of coordination that the aliens had not expected. Every time the enemy tried a new tactic, Liana found a countermeasure and Auric executed it flawlessly. By the end of the confrontation, the Zarathi retreated once again, battered and surprised. Humans had held their ground, not by raw power alone, but by intelligence, adaptability, and the unbreakable bond between those who fought together. As the colony celebrated their small victory, Auric found Liana atop the observation tower again, looking at the stars. "You did well today," he said quietly. "So did you," she replied, turning to meet his gaze. I think my mother would be proud." Auric nodded, feeling the truth of her words. Celine Kale's trust had not been misplaced. Liana was strong, resilient, and capable of inspiring others. And together, they had shown what humanity could do against impossible odds. As the twin suns rose over Nova Prime, casting long shadows across the colony, Auric realized something profound. Protecting someone was not just about shielding them from harm. It was about helping them grow, helping them realize their potential, and standing beside them when the universe tested their limits. And Liana Kale had shown him, in every way, that humans were capable of greatness because they never gave up. They adapted and they fought not just for survival, but for hope. The air on Nova Prime was thick with the scent of victory, but Captain Auric Val knew better than to let triumph dull vigilance. The last battle had been won, but it was only a temporary reprieve. The Zarathi were clever and relentless. They would not give up so easily. Every human colony in the sector depended on the Kale research, and now that knowledge had made Liana a target once again. Auric stood at the observation deck, scanning the skies with long-range sensors. Liana joined him quietly, her eyes following the data streams flashing on the display. The colony had been fortified, but the real strength lay not in walls or weapons. It lay in its people, and in the bond that had grown between them. "They won't stop," Liana said softly, her voice carrying a mix of determination and concern. "But neither will we," Auric nodded. "You're right, and that's exactly why humans endure. Because we fight when others might run and we protect what matters." She smiled faintly. "I've learned from the best." He chuckled, but there was no room for humor for long. The sensors picked up movement near the outskirts of the colony, ships entering from behind the asteroid belt, silent and fast. The Zarathi were attempting a coordinated strike, a second wave, larger and more dangerous than the first. Arik's jaw tightened. They're testing us. This isn't a simple attack. They want to see our weaknesses. Liana stepped forward. Then let's show them what humans can do. Her confidence was steady, inspiring. Arik realized that this wasn't just a lesson in protection anymore. She had become a true partner, a leader in her own right. The battle plan was simple, but precise. Arik divided the colony's defenses, placing trusted humans in key positions while coordinating the turrets and energy shields. Liana took command of a tactical hub, analyzing enemy movements and suggesting countermeasures. Every suggestion she made was sharp, logical, and unexpected, proving that human ingenuity could outmatch even the advanced Zarathi technology. When the first wave of enemy skimmers appeared, Arik led a team to intercept them before they reached the colony's core. Energy blasts illuminated the darkened sky as humans and aliens clashed, a dance of precision and chaos. Liana's voice over the comm guided them, warning of ambushes and predicting enemy maneuvers. Arik marveled at her calm under pressure. Most adults would falter. She thrived. Hours passed, but neither side gave ground easily. The Zarathi adapted quickly, attempting to flank the colony from multiple directions. Arik countered with strategic retreats and feints, buying time for the colonists to strengthen their defenses. Liana's mind was a constant force, suggesting tactics he hadn't considered, making predictions that were frighteningly accurate. Finally, the battle reached its climax. The Zarathi warship descended from orbit, deploying heavy drones aimed directly at the colony's energy cores. Without the cores, the shields would fail, leaving everyone exposed. Arik realized the stakes had escalated far beyond personal protection. This was about the survival of the entire colony. "Liana, we need to disable their ship," he said through the comm. "I have a plan," she replied, her voice steady, "but I'll need you on the field with me." Arik didn't hesitate. "Understood. Let's move." Together, they piloted a small interceptor, weaving through debris and enemy fire. Liana's strategic mind guided them, pointing out weak points in the enemy formation. Arik handled the weapons with precision, following her instructions to strike critical systems. The warship shuddered as they hit their targets, sparks and energy flares erupting across its hull. "Almost there," Liana shouted. "One more hit to the control module." Arik focused, lining up the final shot. Energy beams tore through the module and the warship shuddered violently, retreating from the planet's atmosphere. For a moment, silence fell over the battlefield. The Zarathi forces had been driven back, humiliated by humans who refused to surrender. Arik and Liana returned to the colony, greeted by cheers and applause. The people they had fought to protect came forward grateful, inspired by the courage and determination displayed by the captain and the young woman who had proven herself a leader. As the dust settled, Arik found Liana standing at the observation deck once more, her gaze fixed on the stars. "We did it," he said softly, standing beside her. "We did," she agreed. "And I couldn't have done it without you." He smiled faintly. "You could have. I only guided you. Humans have a way of surviving even when the odds are against them. You've proven that more than anyone." She turned to face him, a mixture of pride and curiosity in her eyes. "My mother. She trusted you with me, not just my safety but with my future. How do I even repay that?" Arik's expression softened. "You already have. By being strong, brave, and thoughtful. By learning, leading, and surviving. That is the greatest repayment anyone could give." Liana paused, then spoke quietly. She also said that if anything happened to her, you should ensure my happiness. I didn't understand fully before, but now. Arik's eyes met hers, understanding dawning. "You don't need to worry about that, Liana. I promised your mother I would protect you in every way I could. And I intend to keep that promise." She nodded, relief and gratitude clear on her face. "Thank you, Captain. For everything." Arik turned away briefly, letting her words settle. He had faced countless battles, but moments like this reminded him of the true meaning of duty. Protection was more than combat, it was mentorship, trust, and the willingness to stand beside someone, no matter the challenges. Over the following weeks, the colony began to rebuild, stronger and more resilient than before. Arik and Liana worked alongside the colonists, training them in defensive tactics, building new energy grids, and preparing for the possibility of future attacks. The Zarathi threat remained, but the people of Nova Prime had seen what humans could achieve when united, intelligent, and courageous. Liana continued to grow in confidence and leadership. She was no longer just the daughter of a scientist in need of protection. She was a symbol of humanity's potential, proof that strength came not only from weapons but from intelligence, adaptability, and the bonds between individuals. One evening, as the twin suns set in a blaze of gold and purple, Arik found Liana atop the observation tower again. "You've changed," he said, smiling faintly. "So have you," she replied. "I never realized how much humans could endure, and how much we can inspire each other. You taught me that," Arik shook his head. "You taught me as much as I taught you. You reminded me why humanity survives, why we fight, and why we never give up, even when the odds are against us." She looked at him quietly. "And now, what will you do?" "You promised my mother." "But that promise, it wasn't simple." "How do you honor it?" He paused, considering her question. Promises were not just words. They were responsibilities carried in the heart. "By standing with you," he said finally. "Not because I have to, but because I want to. Because you deserve a life where your strength, courage, and heart are protected and celebrated. Because humans fight not only to survive, but to thrive, and thriving means more than survival." Liana's eyes softened. "Then I trust you, not just with my safety, but with my future." Arik nodded, a sense of calm settling over him. The galaxy was vast, filled with dangers and unknowns, but humanity had a way of prevailing, not because they were the strongest or the fastest or the most advanced, but because they could adapt, care, and rise together in ways no enemy could predict. As they watched the twin suns sink beneath the horizon, Arik realized that this mission, which had begun as a duty to protect a single girl, had become something much greater. It was a testament to what humans could achieve: courage in the face of danger, wisdom in decision-making, and bonds forged through trust and respect. The colony was safe for now. But more than that, the people of Nova Prime had seen the essence of humanity reflected in two individuals who had refused to surrender to fear. They had learned that humans could face impossible odds, overcome superior technology, and emerge victorious through intelligence, strategy, and unwavering resolve. Liana turned to Arik one last time as the first stars of night appeared. "Thank you," she said softly, "for protecting me, for trusting me, and for showing me what humans can do." Arik smiled, placing a steady hand on her shoulder. "Thank you for reminding me what it means to be human. For reminding me that our strength is more than weapons. It is courage, compassion, and the will to protect those who matter." The night settled over Nova Prime, quiet but alive with potential. Humanity had survived once again, not by chance but by choice. They had fought not just to live, but to uphold the best parts of themselves: intelligence, bravery, and heart. And in that quiet night, with stars shining overhead and the colony thriving below, Arik and Liana stood together, a living symbol of what humans could achieve when they refused to surrender, when they trusted each other, and when they fought not just for survival, but for a brighter future. The galaxy was vast and full of challenges, but for the first time in a long time it felt like humanity could face anything, and together they would.